Hello everyone, today I will tell you about the film Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. Enjoy watching. Before watching, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. I'm trying to develop this channel, and your support is the only thing I have. The film begins with several characters receiving identical mysterious packages from Miles, a billionaire, tech mogul, and philanthropist. A scientist, a former supermodel and fashion designer, a female governor, a YouTube blogger, this group is united by their friendship with the rich man. Having called each other, the gang puzzles over puzzles neatly woven into a solid, at first glance, wooden box. With clues, they solve riddles one after another to eventually find a note inside inviting them to come to a private Greek island and solve another riddle, the mystery of Miles's murder. At this time, while they are happily getting ready for a party, another heroine is looking at the notorious box in the garage. Not knowing what to do with it, she simply smashes it with a hammer, thus getting to the note. The action switches to the main character, a private detective named Blanc. He is lying in the bathroom, smoking a cigarette and playing Among Us. At this time, a mysterious box is brought to him. Blanc is waiting for the rest of the participants on the pier. The guests gradually arrive. They know each other, but they see the detective for the first time. Soon, Mr. Miles' assistant appears. He injects a special antivirus into the mouths of those present. When the guests are ready to board, the last guest appears, Andy Brand. The guests do not like her. She was once Miles' business partner, but after a recent quarrel, they ran away. And some are surprised by the fact that the woman accepted the invitation after all. The host himself meets the moored guests. He greets the arrivals, reminding them that they are old friends, all except Blanc, who is standing behind. The host gives the guests a tour, showing the mansion towering over the island with a huge glass onion, after which the house is named. While the old friends are settling into their rooms, Miles asks Blanc for a private conversation. Upstairs, in the room in the middle of the glass onion, the billionaire wants to know how the detective got on the guest list, since he did not send him an invitation. He wonders if someone could have returned the box to its original position after solving the puzzle and sent it to someone else. Accepting this version, the host allows the detective to join them for the weekend. Later in the pool, the guests notice that the blogger Duke, even when swimming, wears a gun in a holster on his swimming trunks. The rest discuss business. Blanc wanders here and there, gradually learning different facts from the assembled group. He is told about the career of Birdie, a former model and current fashion designer, whom a tolerant and progressive society dreams of canceling for her overly harsh statements. During the conversation, Miles tells Blanc that they are all troublemakers here. They move society forward in different areas of activity. The billionaire's revelation is interrupted by Andy. She exposes the assembled party, noting that each of the guests, when their careers were about to collapse, were saved by the owner's wealth. And each of them is now afraid of losing his favor. Walking around the island, the detective overhears the conversations of those assembled. The fashion designer's assistant asks the billionaire not to force Birdie to give a speech. She can ruin the careers of both the hostess herself and her employee. Blogger Duke spies on his girlfriend, cheating on him with Miles, and Blanc spies on Duke himself. In the evening, the guests gather for dinner. The host gives everyone a glass of their favorite drink, and Blanc gets hot sauce as a gift. Among other decorations in the hall, the original painting by Leonardo da Vinci, Mona Lisa, hangs in a glass protected by armor. The billionaire borrowed it from the French government for a week in exchange for financial assistance. Next week, Miles is holding a world premiere of a new cheap fuel synthesized from seawater. However, scientists are criticizing it. The fuel has not yet been tested and may be unstable. But the owner says that tests are already underway. Everything on the island is electrified with the new fuel. Gathered around the table, the owner says that he has planned a role-playing game. He will supposedly be killed, and the guests must investigate the crime, name the killer and the motive. Benoit Blanc solves the case in a couple of minutes, which was carefully thought out by a detective writer specially hired for this purpose. The disappointed owner takes him to the office to present him with a prize, an iPad. There, Benoit says that he deliberately killed all the intrigue, because he is afraid that one of the guests may truly want the owner dead. They have a complicated relationship, and the idea of murder has already settled in their heads. The interlocutors discuss a napkin with a drawn diagram of fuel, which is located next to a photo from the Glass Onion bar, where the gathered people hung out and became friends. Meanwhile, the guests downstairs discuss with Sandy the fact that they all financially depend on Miles. She is the only one who dared to contradict him, which eventually led to a quarrel. Duke calls her a loser, after which the girl leaves in anger. When the owner returns, some guests say that they want to leave in the morning, but he convinces them to stay. Duke receives a notification on his phone, which makes him happy. He shows the message to Miles. The owner joyfully tells everyone about Blanc's suspicions that they want to kill him. He proposes a toast to his friends, and everyone drinks. But then the blogger Duke, choking, falls dead. The detective tries to help him, but to no avail. Realizing that the house is now a crime scene, Blanc asks to contact the police. They answer that they will arrive in the morning. Then the detective asks those present to disperse to their rooms and sit there locked up. They almost disperse when Miles notices that the glass from which Duke drank is signed with his name, which means that he is the killer's true target. The owner asks the detective to save him, fearing that any of his former friends may want him dead. Blanc looks for the blogger's phone number, but it is nowhere to be found. The guests notice that the gun, which the murdered man never parted with even in the pool, is missing from his holster. Miles begins to get nervous, fearing that he will be shot. Moreover, at 10 p.m., according to the game's schedule, the lights go out all over the island. In the darkness, illuminated only by the light of the lighthouse, the guests panic and run away. Miles creeps along his native corridors, fearing to meet his friends. Blanc notices Andy, who he asks if she took the gun. While they are talking, a gun is aimed at them. A shot is heard and Andy Brand falls. Blanc bends over the bloody body, unable to hold back her tears. The others gather around. The detective asks to go into the house to investigate. And then a flashback begins. A girl named Helen knocks on Blanc's door. She is holding a box in her hands, one of those that Miles sent out, and it is smashed to pieces. Helen is Andy's twin sister, who died a couple of days ago. The body was found in a car in the garage. Investigators suspect suicide, but the sister does not believe in this version. Having searched her relative's house, she learns that before her death, she sent all her friends, who are also friends of Miles, an email with a photo of a red envelope. Helen suspects that one of them killed her sister to hide the truth that she threatened to make public. Blanc convinces her to go to the island at Andy's invitation, received shortly before her death, and to impersonate her until her death became public knowledge. This approach will help confuse the real killer and expose him. Blanc himself also goes with her, pretending that he also received the invitation box. They fly to Greece, where he tells the detective information from his sister's personal diaries. It was Andy who introduced everyone to Miles, who helped them achieve success. It was Andy who drew a diagram of a new fuel on a napkin. Miles directed all the company's resources to developing this project, but the girl resisted, believing that the new type of fuel was unstable and explosive. Andy leaves the company trying to sue for half. But since she did not keep the original napkin, Miles convinced the others to testify in court that he was the author of the diagram. Several years after the events, Andy finds the original blueprint, puts it in a red envelope, and sends a threatening photo to everyone involved. The next day, the conspirators leave for the island. Helen, posing as Andy, wanders around, talking to the others, eavesdropping on conversations, and trying to figure out who among those present had the motive and opportunity to kill her sister. She finds out that the guests have their own career troubles and difficulties communicating with each other. When the girl tells the detective about this, Blanc instructs Helen to pretend to have a fight after dinner and leave, supposedly insulted to the depths of her soul, to search the guests' rooms. Suddenly, they keep evidence in the form of an envelope with a napkin to show to Miles. This is exactly what she does while the tragedy with the blogger Duke plays out in the hall. In the process, she receives a notification on her phone. The news of her sister's death has leaked to the media. If word gets out on the island, her legend will be revealed. Helen meets Blanc when the lights go out to say that she found nothing, but then she is shot. However, the bullet hit her sister's diary in her inside pocket. Blanc gives her the sauce given to her by Miles to imitate blood and smears it on his eyes to cry. While the girl is imitating a corpse, a drop of sauce flows into her nose, almost ruining the new legend. While the detective distracts the crowd, Helen, unnoticed by anyone, makes her way into the last room that he did not have time to search, the owner's office upstairs. There she finds the notorious envelope, hidden right in a nostalgic installation with a memorable photo from the bar. At this time, Blanc accuses Miles of being a skilled organizer, but far from the genius that is attributed to him. In fact, he is stupid. His only talent is the ability to steal other people's ideas. Then Blanc says that the owner himself gave Duke his glass in order to later say that he took it by mistake. The motive for the murder is that Duke saw the billionaire leaving Andy on the day of her death, when they all gathered near her house. At the climax of the speech, Helen, whom everyone perceives as the murdered Andy, comes down the stairs. She brings an envelope with an original napkin. Blanc explains that the billionaire, having learned about the threat of losing the company, poisoned the girl. And when Duke learned of Andy's death, he began to blackmail Miles, for which he paid. The billionaire poured pineapple juice into the glass, to which the blogger is severely allergic. As evidence, the detective uses a napkin from the glass onion bar. Unlike the Miles fake, it has the brand's embossing on it. However, the billionaire did not lose his head and simply set fire to the evidence. Without physical evidence, Blanc can do nothing to help Helen. In court, the testimony will clearly not be on her side. because all the guests will continue to shield the host for the sake of their own prosperity. In a fit of despair, Helen smashes glass decorations and bottles of alcohol, while the others watch indifferently. Soon they join in the pogrom, expressing their discontent. But the girl's true goal is not just to splash out rage. She sets fire to the alcohol, starting a fire. When the fire extinguishing system is turned on, the girl throws a tiny piece of synthesized fuel into it. A sharp release of enormous energy leads to explosions in the ventilation system. The hall is ablaze. But this is not enough for Helen. Her gaze falls on the original Mona Lisa, protected by armored glass. The girl rushes to it. They try to intercept her, but they do not have time. The heroine presses the button, raising the protection, and the flame consumes the works of Leonardo da Vinci. Later, sitting on the marble steps of the Descent to the Sea, Helen explains that no one in the world will want to deal with Miles's fuel, which, due to instability, destroyed a masterpiece of world culture. Realizing that there is no use for it now, the friends agree to tell the truth at the trial. Avenged Helen goes down to the shore, where Benoit Blanc, in a deck chair, looks at the approaching lights of the Coast Guard. They finish the case. Justice has prevailed, and they can go home. This is where the film ends.